All right, so now you've done form and you have an representation of an apple via form. Make sure you're always saving your work before you move on to your next step. So after you've saved it, I want you to lock that layer, create a new layer, and you're going to call this one space. Now you're going to navigate to your space artboard. Now, as we discussed previously, space is about an object's internal and external areas, and space is a word that carries a multitude of meanings. So how can we view space within our specific artboard, right? So in a composition, it refers to the perception or illusion of dimensional space created by perspective or layering. Scale can also come into play. So what are the different things that you can do? And you can also take some of these things that you've created previously, right? Make sure those layers are not locked. So what I want to do is I'm gonna use this one and I'm gonna use it in my next artboard. So I'm gonna copy it. I'm gonna lock my form layer. I'm gonna go to my artboard for space and I'm gonna paste it. And so you can start thinking about space in terms of layering. What happens when I layer one object on top of each other? What happens when I change the scale of those? How does this change sort of the space here? So space can be a lot of different things. Can we isolate space? Can we use scale? What happens when we bring something to the edge of the space that we have around us? What happens when it goes over the edge? And this right here is our edge of our piece of paper. So this is now going over the edge. If you need more space for your artboard, so say I wanted this to go over the edge here, but it's going onto this other artboard, remember, you can use your artboard tool and you can actually move your artboard so you can give yourself more space. So what else can we do? We can manipulate the idea of layering, create perspective. We can think about the edges of the artboard. Do the elements touch? Are they overlapping? Are they bleeding off the edge? Positive space and negative space. Is it densely populated? Is it sort of sparsely populated? These are all different things that we can think about. Another thing we can think about is if we're actually creating the shapes, we can think about the Pathfinder tool. So if your Pathfinder tool isn't open, go Window, Pathfinder, right? And there's my Pathfinder tool. And we can think about, positive and negative space. If we have an object, right, like that, and say we have this apple, and make sure if you're using any of these other ones, you unlock those layers. I'm copying this, I'm locking that layer back up. Right, if I have this one and I bring it over here, can I create negative space? So if I select all of these, I can use some of these Pathfinder tools. I can do minus front, and now I have the cutout of the apple. I'm showing a representation of the space of an apple by taking away space. All right, so these are other things to think about, right? So in this course of exploring the concept of space and representing an apple, I want you to think about maybe using the Pathfinder tool, maybe subtracting and creating negative space, all right? So these are all different ideas about space. So now, you ready? Get started.